Hi everyone, welcome back to this channel. My name is Olga Uwayo. I'm a software developer, and today I'll be working on the crisis management page for the DC48K project using Python with Django. This page is a critical component designed to provide the immediate support and reliable information to the users during the emergencies abroad. So first of all, let me open the project's requirements document and the UI UX design link to fully understand the scope and the visual design we're aiming for today. So as you can see, the requirements are clearly laid out, and we need to build a page with the hero section, mission statement, a detailed section for the emergency and response and the advisories, and a higher urgency contact CDA. So the UI UX design gives us a clear visual guide for this structure, including the two-column layouts and button placements. And so before I start getting into codes, I believe enhancing the initial requirements, maybe through research and modern technologies, will be much more helpful. So in this case, I'd like to use the ChatGPT and ask how I could enhance the website page. And among all the suggestions that I was given, I believe the AI powered chatbot for the emergency situation will be much more helpful, so that will be directed to the correct resources 24/7 before they even make a call. And of course, these are proposals in the real world scenarios, so I will create a new tab in the requirements document and perhaps a Google Sheet to formally document these enhancements and present them to the product manager for approval. So since I'm using Django for this project, my implementation plan is structured around its model view templates architecture, and my comprehensive plan here would be I would like to follow the model view template architecture that the project is using. So first of all, I'm going to ensure that the project is initialized uh, with the necessary apps and settings, and then I will go ahead and define the URL path throughout the crisis management page view. And I also going to create a view function to handle the page logic. So this will fetch the data from the database and all the information that I will be passing in the template. And I'm going to build an HTML template, which I'm going to call the crisis.html, and I build section by section exactly as per the UI UX design. And then I will have to style it with the CSS style as well. I will have to ensure responsiveness and accessibility. And I'm going to keep on enhancing the implementation, such as maybe integrating the chatbot that I just added to the requirements. And I'm going to test each section as I will be building. So that will be my implementation plan. So we could get to development phase where I'll be developing one section at a time, and now I will start the development. Where first of all, I will need to get the projects from GitHub, and I will create a dedicated folder on my PC for this project so that I keep everything organized. And now I will use the mkdir cd48k command to make a new directory, and I will move into it. And now to clone the repository, I will use the command git clones b, the name of the branch I wanna clone, and followed by the repo URL. So the b flag specifies that I want to clone a specific branch, so which in this case is the acceptance test and prod branch. So this gives me the latest table code to build upon. Perfect. The code has been successfully downloaded. So next, I will set up my virtual environment. So this is the best practice in Python development because it creates an isolated space for these projects dependencies, and so that they don't conflict with the other projects on my system. So here I will run the Python m them DC48 them to create a virtual environment named DC48 them. And to start using it, I need to activate it with the name of the virtual environment dash script slash activate. So you can see it now activates because my command prompt is prefixed with the name of the virtual environment. So now I need to install all Python libraries and packages this project depends on, like Django itself, database connectors, and other utilities. So these are listed in a file called requirements.txt. And first, I need to navigate into the projects folder with cd-dev. Now I will run the pip install r requirements.txt. So pip is basically like a package installer for Python, and this command tells it to read the requirements.txt file and install everything in it. Okay, we've hit a common snag. So one packages, Chrome driver py, has a version that's too old and it's no longer available. So this is practically normal part of the development. And to fix this, I will open the requirements.txt file with the notepad requirements.txt command, and I will find that programmatic line, and I will either update version 4 to a newer or available one, or maybe I will comment it out because I currently don't need it for the task that I have today. Great, this time installation completes successfully, and all the necessary packages are now installed in our virtual environment. Well, most web applications, including Django projects, need a database, and Django uses system called migrations to create database.
So by now we'll need to create a database where we're going to make the necessary configurations, and so that if we do migrate, the tables will be created successfully in our local database. So I come in Postgres and I will create a new database. In this case, let's call it DC48K, and then we say great. Now we're going to make the necessary configurations in the settings file, and I'm going to change the DB name to the one that I just created, and the Postgres and the password for the local DB, and then the localhost.
Next, I will run the Python manage migrate. This is our command that actually builds the database tables in my SQLite.
Well, next, now I will create the crisis.html file, and I will initialize it with the initial HTML structure. But before I proceed, I have to first set the URL path. And in this case, I'm going to use path crisis page, views crisis page, name crisis page. So this basically tells Django that if a viewer navigates to this URL ending with the slash crisis page, for example, like my domain slash crisis page, it should execute the crisis.page function, which is called crisis page. So this is used for conveniently referencing the URL elsewhere in my code without hard coding the URL. And next, I'm going to go to the views. This is where I'm going to make my Python function that handles the logic for this web page. And I'm going to first define the page where on request, this function is going to take the request object as an argument, and then it is going to return the rendered specific template. And in this case, it is going to return the crisis page. So as we're using a Django template, this means that this template is going to be dynamic. So we're going to be using some content, and this content is supposed to be into the template tags. And so first of all, we're going to tell Django that this crisis.html is going to inherit from another template, and in this case it's the base.html. So we're going to first insert the header and the footer, as the whole project is supposed to be using the same footer and the same header, which is already made, and that's in the base.html under the main folder. So the purpose of the base.html is that it's going to give us the header, the nav bar, and the footer, and some common CSS and JS imports. And now we're going to load the static, and this allows us to use the static tag in my template. So basically Django static system helps you to like link the static files such as the images to CSS file and the JavaScript files, and here it automatically like resolves the correct URL path for the static files, and the block of content, or this is the content block that gets inserted into the base template, and in this case we're going to like have to implement the other UI UX design that we have. Great, and now we can run the server so that we check if the header and the footer were successfully inserted. And perfect, so now we have the header and the footer, so we're going to first implement the UI UX design that we have, and that's it. So we're going to begin with the hero section, but before we jump into it, let's first like save the images that we already have in the UI UX design, and I'm going to save them into the static folder for the images. So that's the hero section that we're supposed to implement. Let's remind ourselves the requirements.
Well, here I'll begin by importing the tailwind CSS, which allows us to make the inline styles, and we also import the necessary fonts and style sheets from Google, and then I'll proceed with the rest of the HTML structure implementation. Great, now let's test our first section, and perfect. We have our hero section ready. And to go to the inspect, the errors are not really concerning about the designs that we made. By now we could ignore those ones and proceed to the next feature. But before we proceed, I would like to first the changes to GitHub. So we're going to create a branch for development, and we're going to add all those codes that we just added, and we're going to set a commit message for the initial commit. So now we can continue to the next section as per the requirements, and also test it as well. That's the preparedness and rapid response heading in the description paragraph.
So after successfully testing each section that we have, we're supposed to be pushing on GitHub so that we resolve the correct or the successfully working codes. Great. Well, after we have finished implementing the UI UX design that we had, and here comes the most interesting part, the chatbot. Now, I'm going to first make the HTML structure for the chatbot, as well as I incorporate the inline style. And after when I'm done, I'm going to implement the JavaScript full functionalities. Let's get started. Well, after implementing all the functionalities in the JavaScript, let's go ahead and test our chatbot to see if the prompts that we just populated in are now fully working. Yeah, so let's send a request for a question about the Majesty, and yeah, it's working perfectly. Yeah, so I feel like we could push our latest changes to GitHub as well, and we could also create the user acceptance testing branch, maybe, so that we could deploy that on Heroku. And let's try to install perfectly tailwind CSS through command line, so that we could eliminate the other errors we were facing in the console of the browser. And yeah, I think we have everything covered by now. Well, one more thing I would like to test is the responsiveness, and I think the responsiveness is perfect as well. Great, now let's make a new branch for user acceptance testing. We also add those changes that I was having in the dev branch to the user acceptance testing branch, and we push them as well so that we could deploy the Heroku, the user acceptance testing branch to Heroku. Coming to Heroku, we are going to add the branch names to the whole Heroku so that we could deploy them and make sure that our app could be accessible online. And yeah, I think we're good to go. Now next time we'll be back with the backend and how we could do the models and everything that revolves around the database and what goes on behind